So what, I mean, was that obviously a very beautiful costume, very stunning costume, probably not the most comfortable thing in the world?
What do you mean by that?
Well,
scaly aquamarine condom I had to wear.
And all the hype, all the buzz, all the talk, Aquaman 2, what can we expect? Have you talked to Amber? How are things?
It's just laughs. I've never, me and Patrick, it's a bit of a brother's journey, and so it's a lot of funny stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that's just what's going on in our environment, talking about climate change and just hitting on certain things that I wanted to hit on. And yeah, it's just a lot of laughs and also a lot of pain. So just
Jason! Jason! Jason, please! Jason! Yeah, that's it, Jason! Let's go do it, Amber! You and Amber! Jason and Amber! Jason and Amber!
Before now, it's literally been everybody else around her talking about the changes that are coming in the upcoming Aquaman movie. But now, Amber herself seems to have just confirmed the very detail that's been circling the internet about her appearance in the movie with Jason Momoa, and let's just say it might not shock you as much as you expected. But she did reveal a lot.
The greatest news, some of the greatest news in my life just happened. I can't say anything about it. Yes!
There's almost no way anyone can claim they haven't heard about the saga with Amber Heard and the upcoming Aquaman movie. But if you haven't, there's a lot you've been missing out on. One of which is the fact that she might have been cut from the movie. That's right, Amber has brought nothing but trouble since she starred in the first installment of the movie, and considering she got tied up in the highly publicized court case between her and her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, that just further put fuel in the already large fire. A fire that didn't only affect her but put every single person involved in the movie on the spot, one of whom is her fellow cast member, Jason Momoa. But it seems even Momoa is sick of her antics, as the actor too has also been pretty vocal about his feelings on her inclusion in the movie, considering everything that's happened so far. And now, after all this time, the news that everyone has been waiting for has now seemingly come from the actress herself, and it's thrown the entire social media into a frenzy. And it's even not just on social media alone. However, the seeming termination of Amber's contract didn't outright come, as there were a lot of things that actually led up to things getting to that point. And if you knew these things too, you probably wouldn't bat an eye about cutting her out of the movie. Starting with her performance in the first installment of the Aquaman movie, Amber basically showed the world that she didn't have what it took to star alongside the lead actor, Jason Momoa. And no, I didn't just pull these claims out of thin air, they actually came from one of the movie executives who testified in the very trial that showed the world who she really is. Per the reports, Amber Heard and Jason Momoa's Aquaman chemistry was allegedly fabricated thanks to a bit of movie magic. While the court battle between the actress and her ex-husband was ongoing, Depp's lawyers played Walter Hameda's previous deposition as a rebuttal against some of Heard's team's claims.
Say to you about chemistry. What specifically about the chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa?
Just the fact that they didn't really have a lot of chemistry together.
Walter Hameda, former president of DC-based film productions for Warner Bros., said that in pre-production for the second film, which is due out later this year, there was a weeks-long period where the studio considered recasting Heard's role. It was not, Hameda claimed, due to any comments from Depp or his team, but rather it was all concerns about whether she was the right bit of casting for the movie. And this right here was the beginning of the end for Amber, as the executive basically exposed all of Amber's shortcomings right from the early days, which had ultimately led her to where she currently is, jobless. Anyway, moving on.
And the waves were big and there was a big current and we have all this ridiculous stuff on. And I gotta hold her and we have to go down, but the water's only this deep, but it's sucking us out.
Hamada continued his revelations, saying it was the concerns that were brought up at the wrap of the first movie, production of the first movie, which was the issue of chemistry. Did the two have chemistry? Hamada testified, I think editorially they were able to make that relationship work in the first movie, but there was a concern that it took a lot of effort to get there. Would we be better off for casting, finding someone who had more natural chemistry with Jason Momoa and move forward that way? Later in his testimony, Hamada returned to the issue of chemistry, claiming that Heard and Momoa didn't really have a lot of chemistry together. Explaining what he meant further, the executive said, the reality is, it's not uncommon on movies for two leads to not have chemistry, and that it's sort of movie magic and editorial. The ability to sort of put performances together with the magic of a great score, and how do you put the pieces together you can fabricate sort of that chemistry. He said, At the end of the day, I think if you watch the movie, they look like they had great chemistry, but I just know through the course of the post-production, it took a lot of effort to get there. Sometimes it's very easy, you just put the characters on the screen together and they work, and sometimes it's harder.
I don't have any particular interest in being in the water. In the ocean. Just no interest, really.
I mean, it doesn't exactly take a genius to understand why chemistry would be such a major issue for the lead characters in a movie. And because Amber didn't have this with Momoa, it led to some other developments that seem to have solidified Amber's exit from the movie. To be exact, Emilia Clarke has suddenly appeared among the listed cast members for Aquaman 2 on Google, leading to rumors that she'll be the new Mira.
The rumors aren't right. I'll always be Aquaman, ain't anyone coming in there and taking shit. And then there might be some other characters too, so.
Could it be that Emilia Clarke has joined the DCEU by replacing Amber Heard as Mira in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? For a few years now, thanks in large part to the highly public feud between Heard and ex-husband Johnny Depp, there has been a popular fan campaign for the role of Mira to be recast in the sequel. There has also been a viral petition demanding Heard's removal from the film. More than 4.6 million names have since signed the petition, which you can find at change.org. And those numbers are so high that we've got to imagine that Warner Bros. Execs had at least considered the possibility of recasting the role via reshoots. At the time, there wasn't any proof of Heard getting the boot, but later, more rumors emerged that the recasting may have actually happened. This seems to stem from many fans noticing that when looking up the cast on Google for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Clarke's name suddenly appears alongside Jason Momoa and the other confirmed stars of the film. And this makes sense, considering that both Clarke and Momoa had been in a largely successful TV show for years. And guess what role they played in Game of Thrones? Yup, husband and wife. This proves that they would be a perfect fit, and then there's the fact that Momoa himself has revealed that there will be additions to the movie.
And there might be some other characters too, so.
I know from the looks of things here, you can probably already see exactly why Amber would have been fired in the first place. However, there's still a lot more that contributed to her getting booted out. Shortly after her case with Depp got a verdict, Amber got caught in yet another legal battle with her insurance companies almost immediately, and remember that fire I was talking about earlier. This just made it worse. New York Marine General Insurance Company and Travelers Commercial Insurance Company are at odds. Travelers initially filed a lawsuit against New York Marine in July of last year in an effort to be reimbursed for the cost of defending a client who turned out to be Heard. Heard had a homeowner's policy with Travelers that covered libel to a point of around $500,000, and she also had a general liability coverage from New York Marine for $1 million. Travelers believed that Heard had the right to select her own attorneys, in contrast to New York Marine's assertion that the issue was pretty basic, proved to be the turning point in the lawsuit. A judge granted New York Marine's request to hire less expensive local attorneys. On the other hand, New York Marine asserted that Kaplan and Bredehoft had barred their lawyers from representing them. They now demand $621,693 in repayment for their donation to Heard's legal defense fund because their attorneys were excluded from a number of court cases. And while all of these would ordinarily not involve the film company, the fact that Aquaman was already brought during the case made it so it was involved in every way. As such, all of the bad publicity Amber had been getting was also extending to the movie, which translates to a big risk in attaining its projected revenue. A risk that was so big it ultimately led to the release date getting postponed by more than a whole year. If that doesn't clearly define how badly Amber had messed things up, I don't know what will. Anyway, these details have fueled so many conversations online about this whole thing and how Amber might have ruined things for herself with her own hands. And because no one is exactly sure if Amber has actually been kicked out of the film, people believe Warner Bros. Might be in for a big surprise when the movie gets out. One of such people is this user who wrote, "WB won't be happy because Amber will be in the press all over again the same month Aquaman 2 is released. Law suppose it's karma for employing a liar in the first place." Well, no one is sure if Warner will actually do anything to prevent the movie from flopping because of Amber, but suffice to say we'll find out soon enough. That's it for this video. Goodbye.